Hello, we're going to be talking about properties of inequality. Our learning objectives for this lesson are: I will be able to use the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division properties of inequality to solve and graph a solution set of an inequality. It's a lot of words. And I will be able to verify my solution. So let's start with equivalent inequalities. Like equivalent equations, equivalent inequalities are inequalities that share the same solution set. And just like we had the properties of equality, we have properties of inequality. And let's talk about those. The addition property of inequality says, for all real numbers a, b, and c, if a is less than b, then when I add c to both sides, a plus c is still less than b plus c. And vice versa. If a is greater than b and I add c to both sides, then a plus c is still greater than b plus c. So essentially, adding the same number to each side of an inequality produces an equivalent inequality. The subtraction property of an inequality, same thing but with subtraction. So for all real numbers a, b, and c, if a is less than b, if I subtract c from both sides, a minus c is still going to be less than b minus c. And if a is greater than b, and I subtract c from both sides, a minus c will still be greater than b minus c. So essentially, subtracting the same number from each side of an inequality produces an equivalent inequality. So addition and subtraction work exactly the same in inequalities as they do in equations. This is where it gets a little different. For all real numbers a, b, and c, if a is less than b and c is positive, that's what c is greater than 0 means. So if c is a positive number, everything is exactly the same as it is with inequalities. So multiplying the same positive number on each side of an inequality produces an equivalent inequality. But if c is negative, if c is less than 0, and we multiply a negative number on both sides of the inequality, then we must reverse the inequality symbol. So if a is less than b and I multiply both sides by a negative number, I have to change that less than to a greater than. So for multiplication, if you're multiplying a positive number on both sides, you don't do anything different. If you're multiplying a negative number on both sides, then you must reverse the inequality symbol. Division works just like multiplication. If I divide both sides by a positive number, then I don't do anything differently. It's just like it is with equations. However, if I divide by a negative number, if c is less than 0, and of course c can never be 0, right? Because we can't divide by 0. Dividing by the same negative number on each side of an inequality and reversing the inequality symbol produces an equivalent inequality. So if we divide by a negative number on each side, then again we have to flip the inequality symbol. We're going to do some examples, so don't panic. So let's look at some. Solving inequalities is just the same as solving equations, except when multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative number. And if you do that, you have to reverse the inequality symbol.